Samad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Se Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhar ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Nadyaha, rivers, Samudraha, oceans, Girayaha, hills and mountains, Savanaspati, vegetables, Virudhaha, creepers, Phalanti, active, Oshodaya, drugs, Sarvaha, all, Kamam, necessities, Anvritu, seasonal, Tasya, for the king, Vai, certainly. Translation: the rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusion.
So, everything in nature has to give something. That is the order. Everything that we see, Nadya, the river, why God has created the river? It has got a function. Similarly, Samudra, the oceans. Similarly, the hills, mountains, Giraya, Vanaspati, vegetables, all these vegetables which are growing, each and every vegetable creeper has some service, we do not know. Because we do not know the use of these vegetable creepers, we go to the doctor, physician. Otherwise, if somebody is ill, the medicine is there. We do not know how to utilize it. Still, in remote villages, in forests, they do not come to the physician, doctors. The hills, the aborigines, they know so many drugs. For toothache, we go to the dentist and they extract the teeth. But I have read in Ayurvedic medicine, there is a drug, a root. Only if you touch this side of the mouth, all the germs collected within the teeth, they will come out. I have seen it. Sometimes in the year 1931 or 32, I had a very severe tooth pain. So I was taken by my servant in the jungle to some these birds. They cured me, and the dentist could not. I attended so many times to the dentist. I have got my practical experience. And in the Ayurvedic literature, there is mentioned some drug, the root only, if you touch here, the germs collected in the teeth, they will come out. In the corner of the teeth, some germs, sometimes it is itching, they are all germs. So they will come out, sometimes pains in the toe, they are germs. The germ theory is all right, but they want to cure these germs in different way. But by nature's way, there are so many drugs and roots and creepers that can cure all the diseases. Similarly, the river has its function to supply water all the year. During rainy season, the water is collected on the top of the hill. It is stocked there by God's arrangement. And they come down, just like we, by power pump, we get water down to the top of the roof and stock there. Similarly, on high level of hills and mountains, water is stocked. Sometimes they are stocked in ice form, not in liquid form. So according to the seasonal changes, the ice become melted and the water is supplied. It comes through the river. The same thing is there, but because we have now turned to become demons, the rivers sometimes overflow, killing so many men and animals at the loss. Actually everything is meant for kamam, for supplying our necessities. And as soon as we are disobedient to God, demons, nature will give you punishment. And instead of supplying you water, water is there, it will overflow, you will be in trouble. So these rascals, they cannot see how nature is strong and it is controlling everything. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvas. Ahankara vimuratma kartaham yati mannat. Everything is perfectly being done by nature. Nature is appointed by Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya dhaksena prakriti sriyati sacharacharam. Under my control. So, Prakriti will work very nicely, provided you are also nice, Krishna conscious. If you are not nice, then Devidjesa gunamayi mama maya durattaya. My maya, my Prakriti, my energy is very strong. Durattaya. These rascals, they are trying to control this flood. Government, so much money they have wasted, but still in this quarter there is havoc. Therefore, Devidjesa gunamayi mama maya durattaya. You cannot control the nature's way. That is not possible. How nature can be controlled? Mamiva japrapaddanti mayamitam. This is the law. If you become disobedient to God, then Prakriti or nature will give you trouble in so many ways. And as soon as you become submissive, surrender to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there will be no more natural disturbance. I have heard in 1898, I was born in 19 1896. So, I have heard, I have seen also, I remember. In Calcutta, there was a very virulent type of plague epidemic. In 1898. So, Calcutta became devastated. All people practically left Calcutta. Daily hundreds and hundreds of people are dying. I was 1 year old or 1.5 years old. I have seen what was happening. But there was a plague epidemic that I did not know. Later on I heard from my parents. So, one Babaji, he organized Sankirtan, Hare Krishna Sankirtan. When there was no other way, so he organized Sankirtan all over Calcutta. And in Sankirtan, all people, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Parsi, everyone joined. And they were coming, they were going road to road, street to street, entering in every house. So, that Mahatma Gandhi Road, 151, you have seen, the Sankirtan party we received. Very nicely, there was light, and I was very small, I was also dancing, I can remember. Just like our small children sometimes dances. I remember, I could see only up to the knees of the persons who had joined. So the plague subsided. This is a fact. Everyone who knows history of Calcutta, the plague was subsided by Sankirtan movement. Of course, we do not recommend that Sankirtan should be used for some material purpose, that is Namapura. Namapura. Shamma Subhakriya Mati Praman. Sankirtan, you can utilize Sankirtan for some material purpose, but that is not allowed. That is Namapura. Because Nam, the holy name of Krishna, and Krishna, they are identical. You cannot utilize Krishna for your personal material benefit. That is Avra. Krishna is the Lord. You cannot engage the Lord for your service. Similarly, you cannot utilize the holy name of the Lord for some material purpose. That is not allowed. So anyway, because Jijathamang Prapuddante, if you wanted some material benefit by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, you will get it. But that is Namapara. So you won't get the ecstasy of loving God. That is the aim of chanting Hare Krishna mantra. How you shall elevate yourself to the platform of loving God, that is required. Sabai pumsang parodharma jato bhakti radha. Not for utilizing the holy name for some material purpose. But this happened, we have got experience, I have heard, I have seen. So, everything, the rivers, the seas, oceans, the mountains, the hills, the forest, the creepers, the vegetables, sarva, kamam, anuritu, according to seasonal changes. Everything has got meaning. So, if we are honest, if we are, because just like in prison house, jail, although the prisoners are criminals, condemned, still there is arrangement for your comfort also by the God. There is arrangement of supplying food and all other necessities of life. Recently in Ahmedabad, when I was visiting, the prison authorities also invited us for kirtan. So I saw the criminals, prisoners. Sabarmati jail, yes, where Gandhi was also imprisoned during the political movement. So Gandhi's room, where Gandhi was staying, they showed me and I sat down there. So, there is very good arrangement for the comforts of the prisoners if they abide by the laws. Similarly, although this material world is just like prison house, we living entities, we have come here as punishment. Krishna bhuliya jeev bhogovancha kore pasete maya tare japotiya dhore. Now we are under the control of this external energy, material energy. We have become controlled, just like we become controlled by the prison authorities when we are criminals, not ordinarily. Ordinarily we are free. Those who are not within the walls of prison house, they are free. They are acting wherever they like, they are going. But within the law. Similarly, we have got freedom. There are living entities, their number is greater. Nitya Mukta, ever liberated. They live in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, planets. Nitya Mukta. Nitya Mukta means eternally liberated. They never come down in this material. And we are Nitya Baddha, ever conditioned, eternally conditioned. Eternally conditioned means we cannot be eternally conditioned because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Our natural position is ever liberated, eternally liberated. But because we wanted to imitate Krishna, we wanted to become Krishna as the Mahabadis want to do. Therefore, in the spiritual world, Krishna is the only enjoyer. Ekameva advityam. Aham bhoktanam jagatavasam sarvaloka maheswaram. Sarvaloka. Not only of the Vaikuntha lokas, planets, but these planets also. Everywhere, Krishna is the supreme proprietor. Therefore, he is the supreme enjoyer. We cannot be enjoyer. We can simply be servitor. That is our natural position. Just like a dog, when it serves a nice master, he is happy. Otherwise it is street dog. Nobody cares for it. Street dog. A street dog has no position and sometimes they are killed. Similarly, when we live under the full protection of the supreme law, that is our healthy condition. That is our real life. And as soon as we give up this position to be subordinate, to be predominated by the supreme law, then we are bewildered. We are thrown into this, under the control of this material nature. And according to our work, we get different bodies. There are 8,400,000 forms of bodies, and we get one body after another. Tatha diyantaram prapti, dhiras tattva namayati. This is called ever condition. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Ei rupe brahmanda bhramite kono bhagavan ji. Guru Krishna Kripa Pai Bhaktilata Bij. In this way we are wandering from one species of life to another, one planet to another. In this way the Brahmanda, this universe is very, very big, and there is immense opportunity, and you become sometimes demigod, sometimes dog, sometimes cat, sometimes tree. In this way we are wandering. But this human form of life, especially those who are born in India, now it is not limited within India. By grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his prediction, Prithivite Ache Jata Nagaradi. Now the Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is being distributed all over the world, all parts of the world. That is the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the opportunity of getting out from the control of the material nature by accepting Bhakti Lata Bij, accepting this very principle that we are not masters, we are subordinate. We are Jiver Sarupa Nitya Krishna Das, we eternally servant of Krishna. As soon as we accept it and engage ourselves in the service of the Lord, that is our liberated. Then again we become Nitya Mukta. We revive our original condition of life. Original condition means ever liberated. We can go anywhere when we are actually liberated, when we are not conditioned by this material body. That spark, spiritual spark, as I explained several times, revives all godly qualities. Sarvaga, we can go anywhere. Just like Narad Muni. Narad Muni is Sarvaga, is ideal, living entity. He is going everywhere in the spiritual world, material world. Similarly, every one of us, we can travel. Even within this material world, there are different grades of planets. There is one planet which is called Siddhaloka. There the inhabitants, they can fly in the sky without any instrument. Anima Siddhi, Yoga Siddhi, that which is called Siddhaloka. All kinds of yogic, Ashtasiddhi, 8 kinds of perfection they possess. They haven't got to practice the mystic yoga system. By nature they are perfect. As the yogis can travel from one place to another without any instrument. They will sit down here and perform the yogic practice within a moment or within a minute where he wants to go, he will go. This is yogic perfection. This is called Anima Siddhi, Yagna Siddhi, Prapti Siddhi, Vasita Siddhi, Isita Siddhi. So these are simply samples of our perfection. By yogic practice we can regain some of our sample liberty. But actually when we are in our spiritual form, identity, we have got such liberty. You can go anywhere, you can do whatever you like. As Krishna can do, of course Krishna is the Supreme Person. His power, his liberty is unlimited. Our power and liberty is limited. So when we use our power and liberty within that limit, we are called Nitya Mukta, ever liberated. If we want artificially more power to imitate Krishna, then you are gone. Then Krishna Bhuliya Ji Bhagavancha Kare, then you are conditioned in this material world. Because in the spiritual world, the enjoyer is only Krishna. Nobody can be enjoyed. Everyone is servitor. Jiver Sarupa Nitya Krishna. Still, although we are put into this prison house, all these rebel souls, this prison house, this material world, is only 1/4 of Krishna's creation. Ekangsena Stitu Jagat.
Ekanksha. The 3/4 part of creation is the spiritual world. Just imagine. This Ekanksha means not only this one universe. There are many, hundreds and thousands of universes like this. This is one of them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that this universe is just like a mustard seed in the bag of mustard seed. You just imagine in a bag how many mustard seeds you can pack. Unlimited. You cannot count. Mustard seed is in a bag, 2.5 months weight. Can you count? No, it is not possible. Similarly, all these universes, material universes, each of them is compared with the mustard seed. And this universe, which we experience, is one of the mustard seed within the bag of mustard seed. And all these material universes combined together, aggregate, is 1/4 creation of Krishna. And the 3/4 part is the spiritual one. So just imagine how many liberated living entities are there. There are also living entities. They are ever liberated. Just like in the jail. The population in the jail is very small in comparison to the population of the city. Similarly, within this material world, all the living entities, they are all the conditioned, very limited number. The unlimited number are there in the spiritual world. But still Krishna has made arrangement. Krishna is giving us chance, this human form of life, that I give you all facilities, all the supplies, necessities of your life. The river will serve you, the hills will serve you, the mountains will serve you, the ocean will serve you, the forest will serve you, the vegetables will serve you, the animals will serve you, everyone will serve you. Now you have got human form of life. You take service from them, live peacefully and chant Hare Krishna. This is the argument. But these rascals, they will not chant Hare Krishna. They want to predominate over these hills, mountains, rivers, animals. In the Bible it is said, the animals are given under the control of human being, man. Is it not? And they are taking it, and because the animals are given under the control of man, that man should open slaughterhouse and eat it. Suppose if somebody gives his son, you take my son, keep him under your control. Does it mean I shall eat him? These rascals interpret in that way. Because the animals are given under the control of man, therefore there should be slaughterhouse, the animals will be killed and they will eat. This is the interaction of the Bible. Is it not? Who knows Bible? Anyone? Nobody knows Bible? Or you have forgotten? Anyway, so...
In the Quran it is also said.
In the Quran also it is said. Yes. That animals are under the control of man. So that is naturally. It's like...
They are created for the eating of the... They say, Muhammad said, it is for the purpose of eating. Fish are for the purpose of eating.
That is also in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, that Jiva Jiva Sujivanam. That we also accept. But, just like Jiva Jiva Sujivanam, then why don't you eat your own son? He is also there. Why do you discriminate? Therefore, discrimination is the better part of the life. We should know. We are also eating a vegetable. What kind of jiva, living entity, is eat? That is to be discriminated. Not that, because the one living entity is food for another living entity. It does not mean I shall eat my own son or own father. We do not do that. Because it is our discrimination. Similarly, in the human form of life, There should be discrimination. We have to eat. We have to eat. Discrimination means bichar. Bichar. What kind of food I shall eat? Suppose we eat horse. They eat stool. Does it mean because they stool is also food I shall eat that? That is discrimination. That is discrimination. To say that everything is food, that why don't you eat stool? That is also. One man's food, another man's wife. That is discrimination. What is to be eaten, what is not to be eaten, that is discrimination. Now, our discrimination is because human life is meant for becoming God conscious, Krishna conscious. So we have to act in that consciousness. What is it? So we are taking heart that we shall eat the remnants of food stuff, prasadam, of Krishna. Now, what Krishna wants, Krishna says, Pattam pattam param tuyam javatya prajachati. Krishna says, give me vegetable, water, and anyone who offers me in devotion, so we have to eat Krishna prasadam. Although animals are meant for eating by the man, that is stated in the Ahastani Sahastanam, Ahastani Chatusala. Ahastani. They are hands. Ahastani. Well, not us. Sahastanam. Of the human being. The human being has a hand. The Ahastani Sahastanam, Padani, those who cannot walk. That's the creepers, grass and vegetables. That is Padana. They had food for the four-legged. That's what he was used to do.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langayate kirim yat kripatam ham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kipasindhu vaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. So, another wonderful class by Srila Prabhupada, and I know we were all struggling with the audio towards the end, but we can it was beautiful as always. So this is chapter 1, text 5. Yeah. Sorry, Canto 1, chapter 10, text 5, sorry. Yeah. Nadya Samudragirya Savanaspati Viruddhaha Phalanti Oshadaya Sarva Kamam Anvritu Tasya Vai. The translation, it says, the rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forest, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusion. Okay, so let's look at some of the anything anybody would like to start off, any striking points before we actually start dwelling into the purport and the class. Yes, Prabhu, Vishal.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Okay.
Mataji.
Yeah.
Just the first sentence Prabhupada said is, everything in nature has to give something.
Absolutely.
I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
I read a quote by, I can't remember who, one Christian Pope, maybe. I think he was the Pope. He said that the sun is always shining not for itself, but for others. The river is flowing towards, like plants or whatever. Fruits, the trees are giving fruits. They're always giving. So it's like a nature of everything is actually to give.
Something.
So we should also be giving.
In that giving mode.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. No, thank you. Actually, this was the very first thing even I picked up when I heard this class for the first time, that everything is designed in nature to contribute, actually. And in fact, if we read the translation, and maybe you can go back and do it at your own time. If you look at the whole verse and you look at the word-to-word translation I was reading in Bhagavatam, there is in fact no Sanskrit word which is called as tax in this verse. But Prabhupada actually uses the word tax in the translation. So I found it very interesting that why does Prabhupada call it tax? Because we're talking about oceans, we're talking about mountains, rivers, and generally our conception of the tax is something, that we all contribute in a monetary form, the human beings. That's what we have learned about tax. But here Prabhupada, the Bhagavatam is saying that this is the tax quota of these personalities, the mountains, the oceans, and the hills. Anybody has any thoughts on that? And Prabhupada explains that in the purport. Why does Prabhupada call it? It's not even said in the verse also. He doesn't use that word in the verse, but Prabhupada uses it in the translation, the tax. Why does Prabhupada? And that too by these personalities. It's not from the human beings. It's from the mountains, the oceans, and the hills. It's very, very beautiful actually, and it's very. There's a lot of lessons, of course, for us here. That it says the properties of the Lord, namely the oceans. This is given actually in the purport for this particular. The properties of the Lord, namely the oceans, rivers, etc., were all pleased and used to supply their respective quota to the king. Yudhishthir Maharaj knew that king is the agent of the Lord to look after the masses. These are all creations of Supreme Lord, and the living being is allowed to make use of the property of the Lord for the service of the Lord. So the chapter actually begins that this is titled like Lord Krishna is now going back to Dwarka. Chapter begins where Shaunak Rishi is asking to Suta Goswami that how is now Yudhishthir Maharaj ruling his subjects? Because he's just heard from Bhishma Pitama and now he's ruling the kingdom. So everybody is curious, how is the kingdom now being ruled? Because he has gathered that knowledge. And that's when, the verses begin where it is described that how the whole kingdom was filled with abundance, with so much of wealth. And this is where it talks about that how even the oceans, the mountains, the hills, the plants, everybody wants to contribute because everybody is actually very, very happy that how Yudhishthir Maharaj was leading the kingdom in a very just and in a very Brahmanical way. Like we call them Raja Rishis, right? Prabhupada says that they are Raja and they are Rishis. That means they are the kings and they are also the saintly people. So these are saintly kings basically. This is how Prabhupada describes when he talks about Parikshit Maharaj as well. So this is, so when, when the Lord is happy with the leaders, with the kings, then the agents of the Lord also reciprocate. This is a lesson that Prabhupada is giving us, that when the Lord is happy, because the king is ruling properly, then his agents also wants to reciprocate, they want to contribute. And that is why and then the whole praja is also happy, because everybody is actually working in one goal towards the happiness of the Supreme Lord. Because these are all creations of the Lord. Prabhupada says these are all creations of the Lord. And if the king is actually making the good use of these creations, then automatically the creations also want to reciprocate and they are happy. And when they are happy, they build. In fact, we hear that in one of the lectures from Srila Prabhupada, that how Prabhupada says that there is so much of the war in the world because of the animal killing these days that is happening. That is why there is so much of war and fighting in the world. So I think, that was interesting. So thank you, Mishal Prabhu, for that point, that everything in the nature is actually meant to contribute. And like, you were sharing about this quote that you read. Same way, I also read it somewhere one time that I remember it said that there are two types of people in the world, the givers and the takers. And it said that the takers, they eat better, and the givers, they sleep better. That's the power of giving. That they are so, because giving, of course, we all know how much giving is, very satisfying. Okay, anyone would like to raise any other point? Yes, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhupada.
The practical experience of Prabhupada shared that during early 1900s, when the Calcutta was affected with plague, and how transcendental sound vibration helped them to get rid of plague, or to betterment for the people and the land at that time was striking. Yes. And it was something which will put our faith on holy name more as well. But in the second point, he also mentioned that it's a namaprad to utilize the Krishna's holy name to utilize something material.
For the material, yes. So Prabhupada is always trying to push us into that spiritual consciousness, into that Krishna consciousness, that whatever we have, whatever is coming in our life, we accept it gracefully. But then, of course, the solution for all the problems is Nama Sankirtan, right? So, yes, thank you. That was nice. Anyone from Mataji's? Yes. Can we have the mic here? Yeah.
I was wondering why Srila Prabhupada was saying that it's a namaprad, because in the Srimad Bhagavatam it says a kamava, that even if one has material desires, one should still do devotional service.
Yes.
We shouldn't take other methods. So if we do have material desires, then what method should we do to fulfill those desires?
Yeah.
If we can't give them up immediately.
Yes, but of course that is the starting point. Actually, even in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes in one purport that it is still better that if we still have some material desires, we go and pray to Krishna rather than praying to demigods. But of course, we have to kind of step up from that consciousness. That is actually a starting point of our relationship with Krishna. But as we move forward, as we move upward in our journey in Krishna consciousness, we have to actually overcome and then, of course, be aligned with Krishna's plan, which is the ultimate teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, I hope that answers. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else has any more thoughts? Yeah, Prabhupada also talks about how the Prakriti actually, it says, everything in nature has to give something, so we have talked about it. He's saying, he says, Prakriti will work nicely provided you are also nice, Krishna conscious. If you are not nice, then Devi Isha Gunamayi. This is the law of nature. If you become disobedient to God, then Prakriti will give trouble in so many ways. As soon as you become submissive, then there will be no more natural disturbances. So how Prabhupada is always, trying us to align with the nature, with Krishna, whether it is in the form of Krishna's plan, whether it is in the form of the offerings that Krishna has given us. Be respectful, be submissive to that plan and to that to the offerings that are given by the nature. And in fact, Bhagavad Gita talks about it, where it says that if we are not respecting what is we have received through the agents of the Lord, then we are actually, what does Prabhupada call us? We are all thieves. We are all thieves. It is so powerful, It says that Prabhupada says there that we end up actually becoming a society of thieves. It is written in that. I think this is somewhere in the 3rd chapter. Actually, I was referring to that as well. I can quickly share with you. Because he says, if we become a society of thieves, and that society of thieves can never be happy. Yeah. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yagyas. Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yagya, namely the Sankirtan yagya, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of Krishna consciousness. So how Prabhupada is again and again telling us that, by following the principles of Krishna consciousness, we actually become aligned with Krishna, become aligned with Krishna's plan, we become aligned with Krishna's offerings, his agents, and then we are not thieves. We don't want to be a society of thieves, because a society of thieves can never be happy. And this is where actually it all begins, for us as, individuals, then as a community, then as a family, and then as a society. If we are all individually trying to practice Krishna consciousness in a nice way, and we are actually trying to make sure that we are not becoming the thieves, then ultimately, that would lead to the happiness of the society. Anybody else? I think it's almost 8:30. If anyone has any questions or... Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
I love the talk on nature because, I don't know, maybe I could be considered a nature lover.
Yeah.
They said that's not the objective is Krishna. But I do love nature.
Yeah.
That's my confession. And that she's teaching us all the time, at all times, how to live. If we just pay attention.
Yes.
But instead, the mentality is to exploit her and rape her, if I can use that word, rape, because the way the destruction of nature on this planet is abhorrent. And but no, it's not man against nature as if it's something to conquer. It is working in harmony with nature and learn from her, because actually she's a guru.
Yeah.
She's teaching us. And this quote from Pope Francis, that Bishal Prabhu was mentioning, it says, the rivers do not drink their own waters, trees do not eat their own fruit, the sun does not shine on itself, flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves, living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other, no matter how difficult it is. Life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you.
Exactly.
So nature is teaching us this principle by giving everything, nothing for herself, everything to us.
Yes.
And all she's asking or what requires from us is some little, maybe acknowledgement. Okay, Krishna's agent is serving us nicely. And then we reciprocate by being kind and compassionate.
Yeah.
That's all. She's not asking for anything.
No. Prabhupada says, actually, that reminds me in one lecture, Prabhupada says that Bhumi Devi, Mother Earth, she's the most tolerant. He says she's the most tolerant, and we all should be aspire to be. Because now normally when we talk about, of course, tolerance, we talk about Shikshashtakam verse 3, tolerant like a tree. But Prabhupada there talks about, he says, Bhumi Devi, she's the most tolerant actually. And if you see, we look around, the way we are, like as you said, abusing the nature, we are really testing her tolerance. We are really, And I remember Shruti Rama Prabhu, he used to say that, I'm not able to repeat the exact words, but he always used to tell us that plant a tree under whose shade you will not sit. Under whose shade you will not sit. So, in other words, it means that, do something for others. Don't always think about yourself, that I have to do something that I can actually, benefit from. But plant a tree under whose shade that you will probably never sit. So I think that I still remember that, this was like one of my early days when I had started, and I was hearing one of his lectures, and it still sits with me, actually. Very profound and very, very life-changing, I would say, instruction that he gave. That we're always thinking about ourselves, think about others, right? So one last thing, you wanted to say something, Mataji? Maybe we can then, everybody can then...
Hare Krishna, thank you. Yeah, it was a similar topic. It struck me about this point, the sentience of the plants in this. It just really came up to me that, like Prabhu was saying, that actually, like, Bhumi is a goddess, right? She's an actual living sentient being, and then the plants then are extensions of her, and having that relationship. It was like, okay, we were always talking about having a relationship with Krishna and the devotees, and then in this purport it asks us also, what about the relationship with the plants? What about the relationship with the mountains? And we worship Govardhan Hill, right? So, but it's really recently for me, and it was talking about drugs, right? The medicine. Yeah. And this point of Prabhupada was a chemist, but he left that all behind, and then he's making this clear point here that nature has all of the medicine for us, actually, and we don't need to make things in factories. And so it really struck me, because I've recently had some experience of healing through plants, and I know that also Prabhu does as well. So really, really beautiful way to understand and have this connection with nature and see Krishna in everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
There is so much, we can do probably a whole class in that there's so much that we can learn on how to live in a very Krishna conscious way, just by observing our nature. Just by observing. Like, there is so much of learning and lessons out there. But then, we are so much engrossed in ourselves that we are just not able to see it. We're not able to, I would say, even acknowledge it, forget about appreciating it. And that is why we, of course, and of course, like how Bhagavad Gita explains about Shreyas and Prayas, the short-term benefit and the long-term benefit. We live in a world where we are more focused on the short-term benefits. We are not looking at our... I think I heard, again, this is the last point I'll mention, then we could close. I think I heard in one of the classes that the amount of soil left in the world is probably for another 50, 60 years only. In the world. The amount of, like, the soil which can harvest and produce, the food and the things that we can use is probably just left, that is usable for another 50, 60 years. And that was quite a grave statement, actually. So we can imagine we are kind of fastly moving towards a world where, there is going to be a huge disconnect between us and the nature. And then, we don't know what are going to be the deep repercussions of, the abuse that we are doing. Yeah. So it's like everything else, like Prabhupada is saying. It's not just about chanting our rounds. It's not just about following the 4 regulative principles, but it's about the respect, the love that we should develop with everything that Krishna is providing us. And that is the only way that we can develop that gratitude, and then we can develop that reciprocation. Yeah. Because ultimately, you see, Krishna has created this material world. It's an arrangement for us to go back to Godhead, to make our way back. But if we forget that, and that's what Prabhupada is saying in Bhagavad Gita, that is the purpose of the creation. But we are losing the plot, we are losing the theme. Right? We are losing the main objective, and then we end up just enjoying these facilities. We're not using them to go back to make our way back. So with that note, I'd like to close it here. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming this morning. We are 10 minutes late. Sorry for that. But as always, thanks to Srila Prabhupada for all the knowledge and the lessons that he's always, the guidance that he's giving us. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.